Man, this is that game that I think doesn't get talked about enough, and it's weird because when it came out in 2016, it was like this big Xbox exclusive. Microsoft was pushing it hard, Remedy Entertainment was coming off of Alan Wake and Max Payne and all that, and people were hyped, but then the game came out and it kind of just existed for a bit and then faded away, you know? And I think that's a shame because Quantum Break is doing some really unique, ambitious stuff. So first off, this is a Remedy game, and if you've played any of their stuff, Max Payne, Alan Wake, Control, you know they have this very specific style. They love mixing genres, they love meta-narratives, they love weird supernatural stuff, and they absolutely love their cinematic presentation. And Quantum Break is like all of that turned up to 11, because this game isn't just trying to be cinematic, it literally has a TV show built into it, like actual live-action episodes that play between the acts of the game. And we'll get to that, because that's wild. But let me talk about the actual game part first. You play as Jack Joyce, and the setup is pretty straightforward sci-fi stuff. Jack's old friend, Paul Serene, has been working on this time machine experiment, and he brings Jack in to help with the demonstration. And of course, everything goes wrong, the machine malfunctions, time starts breaking down, and both Jack and Paul end up with time manipulation powers. But they're on opposite sides of this conflict because Paul has seen the future, he knows time is ending, and he's trying to control the situation through his massive corporation, Monarch Solutions. Meanwhile, Jack is just trying to survive and fix this mess and stop Paul from making everything worse. And right there, that's the hook of the game. Time is literally breaking down. You'll be walking through environments and you'll see these stutters, these glitches in reality, where objects are frozen mid-fall or repeating the same motion over and over, or entire sections of the world are just fracturing and splitting apart. The visual effect of this is genuinely incredible. Like you'll see a building collapsing, but the debris is frozen in midair, suspended in this crystalline time fracture, and you can walk around it and see it from different angles. Or you'll be in an area where time is skipping and people are teleporting around, stuck in these loops. The art direction and the visual effects work in this game is top tier, dude. It really sells this concept of time falling apart.
Oh crap. Frozen again. She was right. About the fracture. About all of this.
Now the gameplay is third-person shooter stuff, but with time powers, and this is where the game gets really fun. Jack has multiple different time abilities, and they're all super satisfying to use. You've got Time Stop, where you can create this bubble that freezes everything inside it. Enemies, bullets, objects, and you can shoot into the bubble and all those bullets will just hang there suspended, and then when the bubble collapses, everything hits at once. It's so cool to freeze a group of enemies, pump a bunch of rounds into the bubble, and then watch them all get hit simultaneously. You've got Time Dash, which is basically like a quick teleport dodge. You can zip around the battlefield, get out of danger, reposition instantly. Feels great, it's super responsive, and once you get the hang of it, you're zipping around combat arenas like a maniac. Then there's Time Shield, which creates this protective bubble around you that slows down incoming fire, so bullets are crawling toward you and you can see them coming and react. And Time Blast, which is like this explosive wave that you can charge up and release to knock enemies back and do damage. The combat in Quantum Break, when it clicks, when you're combining all these powers together, moving through encounters fluidly, it feels amazing. You're stopping time, dashing behind enemies, blasting them, creating shields, and it all flows together in this really satisfying way. The game gives you these arena-style combat sections where you're fighting waves of Monarch troops, and you have to use the environment, use your powers creatively, manage your cooldowns, and it can get pretty intense. But look, the story and the presentation, this is where Quantum Break really goes for it. The narrative is super involved, super detailed, and it's told through multiple perspectives. You've got the main game where you're playing as Jack, experiencing his side of the story, but then between acts, the game switches perspective and you play as Paul Serene, and you have to make these big choices called junction points. These are like these pivotal moments where Paul has to decide the direction Monarch is going to take, and your choices here actually affect how the story unfolds, what enemies you fight, what environments you go through, what side characters live or die. And then, after each junction point, the game plays a live-action TV episode, like a full 20-25 minute episode with actors and sets and everything. These episodes focus on the Monarch side of things, on characters you don't play as in the game. Beth Wilder, who's this time traveler trying to help Jack, Liam Burke, who's head of Monarch security, Charlie Wincott, who's this tech guy, all these supporting characters. And the episodes show you what's happening behind the scenes, how Monarch is responding to Jack's actions, how these these characters are dealing with the time crisis and their own moral dilemmas. And look, the TV show stuff is ambitious as hell, and I respect what they were trying to do, create this hybrid game TV experience where the two mediums complement each other. And sometimes it works, like you'll meet a character in the game briefly, and then in the episode you'll get their full backstory and motivations, and it adds depth. Or you'll see the consequences of your junction choices play out in the episodes, and that's genuinely cool.
In everything you've seen, do I stop before you?
Some people are gonna love that whole transmedia storytelling thing, but for me, especially on replays, it does let you skip the episodes if you want, but then you're missing context and story beats, so it's this weird catch. The actual narrative though, the time travel stuff, the conspiracy, the mystery of what's causing the time breakdown and how to fix it, I found it pretty compelling. Remedy does this thing where they fill their games with documents and emails and recordings you can find that flesh out the world and the lore, and Quantum Break has tons of that. Like you can find these quantum ripples, which are basically echoes of events, and when you interact with them, you see these ghostly flashbacks showing you what happened in that location. It's a cool environmental storytelling tool, and it really encourages exploration. I keep coming back to with Quantum Break is it's swinging for the fences. It's trying to do something different, something ambitious, blending game and TV, exploring time manipulation mechanics that feel genuinely unique, telling a complex sci-fi story with real production value and Hollywood actors. And even when it doesn't entirely nail everything it's going for, I respect the hell out of the attempt.
When it all started.
This is a game that could only exist at a certain time, you know? Like Microsoft was throwing money at Xbox exclusives, Remedy had the creative freedom to try this weird hybrid experiment, and they went for it. And we don't really see games like this anymore. Everything is either huge open world games or live service stuff or safe sequels. Quantum Break is this standalone, self-contained, deeply weird sci-fi action game with a TV show built into it. And that's just inherently interesting. If you like Remedy's style, if you enjoyed Control or Alan Wake, you'll probably dig Quantum Break because it's got that same DNA. Supernatural powers, complex narratives, lots of lore to dig through, strong presentation. If you're into time travel stories and you want to see a game really explore those mechanics and concepts, this is one of the best examples. And if you're just looking for something different, something that feels unique, even if it's flawed, Quantum Break is absolutely worth it giving a chance.